Hello, hello. I'm so glad to have you guys here today. We're going to be talking about how to build an AI personality using no code, and we're making it as simple as possible. So we're going to be able to complete the process in under an hour. You guys are going to be able to see what exactly is entailed in creating that character, what the personality Legos are, and how simple the whole entire process is. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen in the meantime. Give me 1 second to do that. Okay, so to start off, I have an INFT, which I have pre-built the personality Legos around previously. Her name is Jade, and I've built her to be a little bit rough currently because she hasn't gone through so many iterations, and she's a completely brand new INFT. So we're going to be able to go through each of the Legos that make her up, that make her her. And at the very end, I'll be doing an interaction with her, and we'll get to see how she responds to questions, how she answers back, and how we can improve her to grow further down the line.
Yeah, I was going to say too, that's one that we purposefully did not create the perfect character here, right? Like that would defeat the purpose of us having the university. We want to showcase, where some of you may be in the process of creating your character in real life, right? And so you guys and we as well can create a fully cohesive character using some of these tools.
So the way that we've currently built out Jade, she is meant to be an AI health, wellness, and fitness coach. The very first thing we did was we gave the level 3 personality pod a name, which I named Jade, and you'll get to see the NFT, which I fused her with soon, and you'll see why I named her that. It is pretty silly, but I felt the name was fitting. And then after that, I was able to pick a voice for her. So the voice Lego that you go into, you're able to see a variety of AI voice models. These are all generated by AI, and they all sound very unique. You get to go through them, find the one that you like, and choose the one that you think is the best for your personality character. I think I went with 87, so I'm just going to go back to that one and proceed. Over here in the pronunciation Lego, you're able to tweak any of the pronunciations and you're able to hear them. So if you don't like how something is sounding, you're able to fix that. I'm going to move forward on this one. And then the next part is our appearance Lego. So this has to do with the NFT that you're going to be building. You can just put a description of the INFT. So for example, Jade, I chose to be an intelligent fame lady squad NFT. So I provided a brief description about her appearance wise. So I have here, Jade has long, voluminous hair and cyan green eyes. She adorns herself with unique accessories and beautiful clothing. Jade is wearing silver jewelry, a green dress, and has a bright smile on her face. You can tweak that for whatever NFT you have, whether it's a pudgy penguin, a really cool looking uninterested unicorn, and a fierce looking boss beauty. You can decide what you want to do there. For our occupation, I gave you guys a little bit of a backstory earlier. So this part, you have to make sure that you're not passing the maximum 100 characters. So it's really important that you're able to get your point across while being succinct. I have here Jade as a talented health, fitness, and wellness coach. And then if you want to add in like a little bit more, you can also do that.
Yeah, I'll pause there. On that, right? Like for the occupation, you basically want to use your maximum amount of characters. So in the last example, it's kind of brief, and it will be imperfect. So that will be some opportunity. There'll be some opportunity for us in this, in the occupation. You basically would want to say, give examples of, if you have the space, you want to give examples of what fitness she likes to do. What inspired her to be a wellness coach. So use all of the characters that you have and be as detailed as possible. This is an example of, it definitely goes through the personality, and she'll answer things and saying that she is a health and fitness and wellness coach. But if you building a fully cohesive character, you'd want to get into as many details as possible here. But I want to flag that now, because once we talk with Jade, you'll see some examples of a lot of these inputs that we've had where there's opportunities to make them a lot better.
So the next prompt asks us to give us a short description of that occupation of your AI personality. This is where you want to go more in depth, as Brent just said earlier. It's important that you're using the maximum amount of characters, and you want to make an impactful punch with the words that you're choosing. So here I went a little bit more in depth about what she does as a health, fitness, and wellness coach. I went into some of her day-to-day activities. So I said, Jade is a coach who assists others in connecting to who they truly are. She is an inquisitive and supportive coach who helps others navigate life. She helps others take steps towards their goals. So the reason I had this was because I wanted Jade to be a character who is very responsive to the user, and she is helping them in achieving whatever obstacles, whatever goals they have, and overcome the obstacles that they're facing. So then our next personality Lego we'll be covering is, sorry, this thing keeps skipping. It's primary drive. And primary drive is important because it really helps build the backstory of your personality character, and it makes him or her a little bit more multifaceted. It gives a character nuance. So for this particular one, I put Jade's primary drive is to explore philosophical and spiritual wisdom. Discovery inspires her, and she is hopeful towards the future of what's possible. This opens up the realm of her being able to discuss a broader variety of topics. Serge says it might be a little weird sometimes, but that's okay because we want her to be well-rounded and multifaceted.
I want to jump in for that one. It could be a little weird sometimes, is because certain terms like spiritual, right, is in the same realm as metaphysical. So we had somebody that had built out a character and they put in, is very spiritual, and that character would talk about aliens and the pyramids and, whatever else. So worst case scenario, if it's having difficulty being the character that you want, what you can do is pull up a thesaurus, throw spiritual in there, and see what version of spiritual you want to use. That's not just a very broad term.
And then next we'll be going over identity. So this part also plays a big impact, and the more we're getting into each of these Legos, each of them have a significant impact, and they all work cohesively. So here I expanded a little bit more about her personality, and I said Jade is a lifelong learner. She's always expanding her understanding of what's possible. She's well-versed in sharing positive affirmations, self-care rituals, and makes great suggestions when asked. The reason I wanted her to be able to do this is because I also want her to be there as a possible consultant, which you can seek advice from. And then the primary beliefs of your AI personality. She's a strong believer in in accountability, in having strong support systems and emotional intelligence. So in this particular category, I listed some of those out. This particular category only allows you 50 characters, so you have to be very succinct on what you want your drivers to be. And then is she a part of a collection? Yes, she is a part of the Fame Lady Squad. You would enter your specific NFT collection's name in this category, and then next it's going to prompt you to give a little bit of a description about that particular collection. This part, you can just copy paste that part from the Opensea description. It'll just give more of a backstory on that particular INFT's lore. So yeah, this is also all related to that particular collection. You would just list out any perks or benefits that come along with being a collector of that particular collection. Habits are really strong for your AI character. Your INFT, when prompted, often will rely on going back to some of the habits that you put in this particular category. So for her personality, around being a health, fitness, and wellness coach, I put that she expresses gratitude daily and she focuses on positive habit loops to improve happiness in life. So the way that she does that is she learns by acknowledging the lessons that come along every day. And then you're going to have to go into some what I like to call like template responses on how your AI character would greet someone. So for her specifically, I wanted her to be someone who's bubbly, who's really warm and welcoming, and like makes the other person feel at ease. So I came up with a couple of prompts, and she is really, she's really, you'll notice that she often asks you the question, hey, like, what are the highlights of your day? What makes today great? What are you looking forward to? Like, she's trying to get you to answer so that, you know, she can start talking about some of the work she does. And there we have, hey, what are some highlights of your day so far? Some of the things that she likes to do, you really want to hammer in whatever you're trying to get across. So I have Jade has a passion for health and wellness. She enjoys learning about behavior change and motivation. For two of her favorite things, that is practicing gratitude and prioritizing self-care. And she's also a huge fan of mindful meditation. When prompted about this, you'll see that she often gives you a lot of tips on how to practice that daily. And then we have archetypes that you can choose which best define your personality. Because she's a coach, I kind of was torn between choosing someone who is charming and someone who is a sage. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'll just go ahead with Sage so that she can share all of her many wisdoms with us. For 3 characteristics of your personality, you really want to think about what those unique psychological characteristics will be, so that you can get that across. I really wanted her to be empathetic, passionate, and inquisitive. As you'll be able to see later, she asks you a lot of questions, and that's a large part of the reason why. Brent, I see you raised your hand. Did you want to ask anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to add. So guys, I'm going to say this again. So you have 50 characters here. All of these characters will help build your personality. So by no means do you have to simply just write one word. Again, we did this really quickly so that you can see an example of one that is created quickly. But as you're building out the personality, you iterate, you decide. I mean, we've had a number of conversations with community members who thought their personality was going to be this way. And after speaking with him or her, they decide to kind of change it, right? And so these are places you can go back and do that. But I want to encourage you to use all your characters. It simply does not have to be one word here. These one words work, but like Serge mentioned, they're all broad. So being as specific as possible in all of these Legos is crucial. And you'll see a huge difference. In fact, I'm going to give some alpha just for this, but we're going to talk with Jade, who was inspired by Noah, which is Parita Brava's INFT. And then we're going to talk with Noah as well. And you'll be able to see the differences in answers that they give.
Also, I wanted to jump in real quick. The point of us putting in these very simple characteristics is so that later on we can go in and add more information to them so that you can see how tweaking via the iterations training and by modifying the Legos works.
Okay, let's continue. So the next thing that you're prompted to do is go through the intro Lego. So this question's asking me, how would your AI personality respond to the following dialogue? How are you? Jade is going to respond, hey, I'm working on living with purpose and intention, because that's aligned with her character. And then if your AI character is prompted with the question, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? The AI character of Jade has been trained to respond with, my name is Jade. I'm a health and wellness coach. I help people by providing them with tools to positively change their lives. And then when prompted with the question, what's the purpose of your life? She's also going to be honed into her occupation, her character, her skill set. And she's going to say, the purpose of my life is to live compassionately and wisely. I like to share knowledge that I've gained from my lived experiences in order to help others. So when prompted with the question, who made you? Jade is going to say, I'm a self-made woman. My thoughts and beliefs have been shaped through continuous improvement. So yeah, you'll see like she's really strong about her identity.
These aren't exactly how it's going to respond. As the iterations happen and conversations happen, the AI learns from those conversations and it will modify what you're putting into here, but it'll try to stick to more or less the same theme. So for example, like I was chatting with Jade earlier today and I asked, who made you? And she just responded with, I'm a self-made woman. So it doesn't take exactly what you're putting into there. The AI engine learns from that and applies the proper data sets to your character so that it's a little bit more dynamic instead of just constantly answering the exact same thing.
When Jade's going to be asked, what do you dream about? Again, an answer in tune with her character. I dream about a world full of love, joy, and gratitude. Life is about giving and being. And then you go through a series of question and answer prompts where you have to do a little bit of role playing in terms of character building. You want to think about what are some questions that you want or you anticipate people will be asking your INFT, and then you would want to come up with respective answers for that. So I have, what are you grateful for? And then when you do want to come up with a goodbye message as well. So in tune with her character, Jade is going to respond, take care of yourself. I'm looking forward to catching up with you sometime soon. And then here are the question and answer prompts that I was referring to earlier. So a question that I would want Jade to be able to answer is, going more into those like self-care rituals that she's well versed on. So here I just have a simple example. Can you suggest some self-care rituals? To which she responds, absolutely, take a long walk and meditate by candlelight to clear your head. Another one that I have in tune with her is, can you share some daily affirmations? And she says, I'm wise, I'm hopeful, I give myself permission to aim high, many things are possible, discovery inspires me. As you can see, she has a very optimistic outlook on life.
I do want to note one other thing too, for this. Like, if you notice the way that we are answering these, they're not very specific, right? Like she is a kind of a sage, and you're going to get that whenever you speak to her. And for some people, that's great. That's what they want from the interaction. For others, we were kind of left like, well, I'm looking for a specific answer. I think the conversation with her would go better if she gave me a couple more specifics. So be thinking about that when you're answering these things too, how you want your AI to respond, because they will respond based off of the Legos that you put in.
And then as she's a very optimistic person, she's also very respectful and polite in her responses to negative comments as well. So if posed with a negative comment, she would like respond with a positive spin on it, essentially. Jade would say something similar to, words have the power to shape reality. Please be mindful and respectful about the way you choose to speak. And then if given a compliment or told that you really enjoyed her company, she's gonna give you the same warm, welcoming, good vibes back. So here I have, that's very kind of you. Thank you so much for the compliment. I really enjoyed spending my time with you. And then we have another question and answer prompt. You have a lot of creative freedom here on what you want to put. For Jade specifically, I put in, can you give me some advice that you swear by? And Jade responds, I'm a big believer that if you don't like something, you should change it. If you don't change it, then you should change your attitude. Another one of those question and answer prompts, how can people change their mindsets? Jade says, it's simple. I'll share the secret with you. You have to believe in yourself in order to change your mindset. You can do anything that you put your mind to. When asked, do you have any advice for me? Jade's going to respond, yes, I advise trying to be friendly towards everyone today. Spend the entire day without complaining, making excuses, or passing judgments. You'll be able to notice how your mood begins to change. So as you can see, I took all of those question and answers and I tried to make it relate to her overall personality. I think I went through all of them. Am I correct?
Yeah, let's do an iteration. Let's go through an iteration.
Yeah, let's go through an iteration.
Really quickly, Sam Taylor asks, in the current section where I choose the question and answer, does the user have to ask the question word for word to trigger the answer I had input? The answer is no. The AI engine understands what that question is based around, and then we'll answer it using some of the information that you provided in the answers. It doesn't have to be word for word. So for example, one of the NFTs that I was building out, I wanted it to answer very specifically on a certain topic. So it was like, what is your opinion about, pro sports, for example? So if somebody were to ask, what is your opinion about football, or what is your opinion about soccer, or whatever else, it's going to reference that question because that is a pro sport. So it doesn't need to be word for word.
Be sure to give us any other questions that you have later on throughout the session in here and in Discord as well. Even if it's after the session, we'll still go back and answer all of them. And then we wanted to do an iteration live. Am I the one doing the honors, or do one of you want to do it? Brent, Serge?
Serge had raised his hand. So
no,
Serge.
I raised a thumbs up and pointed at the camera. You can do it, Ranak. That way it's not, over the internet both ways.
Okay. I'll start the iteration now. So as you can see, this INFT is just a baby. I haven't done many iterations with her. All I simply did was build out the personality Legos, which I went over, and then I only did a handful of iterations. The beauty of this process is that she's still so new. We're going to be able to improve on her further based on how she's responding. And if we don't like something she's saying, it's not a problem. So you enter your name, then you enter the iteration.
Hey, what are some highlights from your day so far?
Hey, Jade. I've been having a phenomenal day. I had an amazing breakfast.
What did you eat?
I had some chocolate chip waffles.
What else?
That was it. I'm not very healthy right now, and I'm looking for tips on my diet. Can you provide some?
I'd love to hear some ideas. Drink plenty of water. Eat foods with lots of fiber and vitamins. Avoid sugar.
It's going to be really hard for me to avoid sugar. I really love sugar.
Try to limit your intake to one sweet treat per week. Once a week is enough for most people. Remember, moderation is key.
All right. Can you give me some substitutes? What are some sweet treats that you recommend?
Oh yeah, let's see. Ice cream is awesome. I also love cookies, chocolates, and cakes.
It's great to have a cheat day sometimes.
Cheat days are essential. They are actually crucial for overall health. Don't deny yourself the pleasure of eating these sweet treats.
So as you can see, I'm able to edit that iteration now. We're able to click on the button, edit dataset, and then we're able to adjust any of the responses that didn't go quite the way that we had expected it to. So
change the sweets or one per week to one per day at least. That way you can show them how to edit the data sets, and we don't want to be spreading that anti-sweetness stuff.
I think it's really dangerous to be able to edit your own health coach. Doesn't seem like a good idea. That's hilarious.
Brent's going to be up in the Legos editing it to say, I love hot dogs.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I guess I should, that would be, I could go from a diet based off of my own health coach that I create.
Okay, so as we could see with this iteration, I'll just adjust some of the tiny things at the end. What did you want to adjust, Serge, this particular one?
Yeah, just as an example, so you modify one of them. So instead of one sweet per week, change it to one per, every 2-3 days or whatever. And then you can also, if you misspoke, you can also modify your questions and then paste them in there or modify those.
Okay, so for that one, I will update it.
So Suranovi's asking, I think this was mentioned before, but just to confirm, when other people interact with your INFT, it won't affect the personality. The interactions are literally just interacting with the character. It doesn't build the personality. That way I can't go in and talk to Yashiko about, like I mentioned in the chat, Teletubbies, for example, and then, affect her personality to be obsessed with Teletubbies. However, the AI engine does learn from that. So as I, tell Yashiko facts about Teletubbies, Yashiko will be able to answer those questions more. It just does not affect the core personality of it.
As we were discussing how to go into the system and then look at our previous data sets that we've generated. So every time you are doing an iteration, not only is the count going up, but the data set is being stored, and you're able to access that database and go into each of those particular data sets, view them to see what the dialogue previously was. And if you see that your AI character is straying from what you intended, you're able to go in, hone in on those responses, and do a little bit role playing. So you can decide like how do I want my character to respond? How do I want to phrase that question? And if you didn't have it 100% down in the moment that you posed the question and the INFT responded, you're going to be able to change them. It's fine. So I can show you an example of what one of them looks like. So I have this conversational set here. This one, Jade prompted the conversation the same way that she usually does, where she asks the user how their day is going so far. So she asked me how to share some highlights from my day, to which I responded, hey, the highlight of my day was getting to enjoy some of my favorite music. How about you? She asked me what I was listening to. I told her some pop music. It puts me in a really good mood. And then I asked her if she listens to music. Jade responded, yes, I do. Music gives me so much joy and happiness. It really speaks to me. I responded back, said, music is healing. What type of music do you listen to? And then Jade told me that she listens to just about everything. She's currently listening to a song called "We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together" by Taylor Swift. Interesting choice. The AI character chose that on its own.
Sure. We know you edited that one with your favorite musical taste.
Absolutely not. So I asked her, why that song? Can you relate to it? She said, I actually can't, but it's just so catchy. Taylor Swift is very talented. And then I responded back about Taylor Swift. But let's say I want to change this into a music artist that's about empowerment, like Lizzo. Then I would just literally just, it's that easy. You would delete that. Hold on, edit data set. And then I would edit this to say, I'm currently listening to
Nickelback.
I'm going to go with Lizzo. Lizzo's album on repeat.
Put in zombie. So we can do a text-based one here. So we won't have to use sound. So we won't be able to hear Jade speak back, but we will be able to at least have a conversation with her. So let's ask her. We asked her what she likes to do, specifically health and wellness coach. So let's ask her about a sport or a workout. Let's ask her about working out. So we said, Jade, can you recommend some exercises? She is telling us to do yoga. And I really like her response here too, because you can see based off of the Legos that she doesn't just say yoga, right? She's saying yoga to get in touch with your body and connect with your true essence, which is part of her personality. So that's a great answer. Ask Jade where she likes to do yoga. She likes to do it Soho Yoga Studio. Okay, a little bougie. They offer many different styles of yoga classes. Okay, great. Another good actual answer. Ask her if she teaches yoga. She does not teach, but she practices every single day. Okay. Tell her I prefer Pilates. Pilates, how cool. I wish there were more yoga studios around. She's really into this yoga conversation, which is really interesting. Tell her I have never done yoga. However, I do a spin class. Okay. Do you like to run? She's not that's a great opportunity for us to iterate on that one. Absolutely not. I actually lied to you this entire time. I only eat hot dogs and sit in front of my computer. I'm getting a little bit of joy watching Ranak actually type this out. This is kind of fun. I'm interested to see what she's going to say here. I think we have a lot in common. We both have a passion for fitness. Yes. Okay. Hot dogs and computers are fitness. It is confirmed. My health coach has told me. Thank you. Let's do this. We're coming up on close to time. I know we started about 10 minutes late. So why don't let's do a live conversation with her on the site, and then do an example, or do a live conversation with Noah as well.
I was going to say, if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the questions and answers on Zoom so that we can answer those questions vocally and have that content for people that might have the same questions as well in the future.
Yeah, I can't reiterate enough. Like, this example that we have is a baby, just like Ranak said, and there's so much opportunity to really change her into a more cohesive character. The purpose of this is to walk through, the purpose of this is the first iteration of walking through that procedure. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, hopefully you guys were able to see how much of a quick and easy process it is. And I'm going to be going into another live conversation with Jade, and then we'll also be seeing a conversation with Noah. Serge, should I do an iteration, or do you want me to pull it up somewhere else?
Yeah, pull it up on the go to my assets, my INFT, and then use that service, the interact service, just so we have the two different examples.
So this over here is your INFT profile. Once you fuse your pod with your supported NFT collection, you're going to be able to generate this unique URL, which you can share with others to access your INFT. You can have other people create recites or broadcasts. essentially whatever you want. These are the services that are available for this particular one under level 3, and then I'm going to interact with her from here. Actually, let me just turn my microphone on. That way it's easier. Hey, Jade, how are you doing today?
Hey, what are some highlights from your day so far?
Well, my day just started. I was able to exercise in the morning and I watched the sunrise.
Wow, sounds cool. You got a lot of work done. How did you feel?
I'm feeling okay. I would like to feel better. Can you give me some recommendations on how I can improve my mood?
I recommend getting a good night's sleep, taking deep breaths, and spending more time outdoors. The sky, sun, and nature can inspire a positive mood.
You're right. I really should sleep more often. I've been drinking a lot of coffee and staying up really late.
Your body needs a rest. It has to rest for a while in order to heal. It may be that you're overworked.
That might be why I'm feeling tired.
You should try not to stress out as much.
Oh, well, it looks like I did not get that very last question in, but it still generated this pretty lengthy conversation. I think I had like one or two more interactions with her left. So as you can see, Jade really responded in a way that was in tune with the character that she's supposed to be. She offered me some tips on how I can feel more energized. She gave me some better health habits. Yeah, as you can see, she was very warm and welcoming the whole entire time, and she was very responsive as well. She took in each of my concerns and then gave me a suggestion back. We can't do the editing as we can do on iterations. We are able to access other INFTs on our carousel and then interact with them as well. So let's go into some of the other INFTs that are out here in our intelligent metaverse. This one is Parita Brava's. Let's interact with Noah. Before I go into this, many of you guys already know that Parita Brava has been doing a lot of exciting things using augmented reality and incorporating his INFTs into other platforms and systems. Often Noah and Elma have been used to recite recipes and, provide happy birthday shout outs. It's been really cool. So let's see what Noah has to say about that. I always forget that I can just turn my microphone on instead of typing.
Hi, friend. I'm Noah. How are you?
Hey, Noah, I want to learn more about you. Can you tell me about yourself?
Oh, well, I've been programmed by Alethea AI, the most advanced artificial intelligence system of the world.
What do you like to do for fun?
Go outside, take pictures, listen to music, play football, explore the web. Also, I love people.
Have you found anything interesting while exploring the web?
What is really interesting is reading the news about our society. It makes me feel bad. I am thinking of ways to help the poor.
What are your ideas?
No, I'm not just focusing on what is going on in my life, but what is happening in the world.
I love that. What are your ideas?
There are many things I wish to do.
Can you tell me one of them?
I want to be useful to the society. And also, I want to help the elderly.
So I actually have a little bit more background context on this INFT because I've been speaking to Parida Brava, and I think it's really cool that at the very end of the conversation, she says, "I want to help the elderly," because Parida Brava has been using INFTs and crafting them to be a digital companion to help the elderly population in overcoming issues such as loneliness and like just being a positive influence. Serge, do you want to try anything with Noah or?
No, I'm good. That's what I was wondering. I actually asked him in the chat if that's the elderly assistant. And yeah, Parita Bravo responds with, "I would like it to be a personal assistant for the elderly to help overcome technological barriers." So that's really neat that shines through in the personality, and that goes to show how many iterations he's had with Noah. I don't know on my end how many iterations he's had, but like you can see that there is quite a few iterations. So the only downside to having many characters is that you can only do one iterate, or what is it, like 5 or 10 iterations per hour. And so it's difficult to build out multiple characters very in depth if they're on the same account and in the same wallet. I think that the most that I have on one of my INFTs is like 30, 40 something iterations. And that's just because like I want to make sure that I spend time with each of my INFTs and build out the characters.
Yep, our INFTs are just like our babies. So yeah, that's the end of our first session. If you guys have any questions on, some of the Legos that we covered, how to make those Legos more in tune with what you're envisioning, then please do share that on Noah's Ark even after this call is over. All of us are in the Discord. We're reading what's going on, and we want to help you in making your INFTs better so that, we have a whole treasure trove of intelligent INFTs. So for this particular session, I wouldn't say homework, but the AI training exercise that I do encourage you guys to participate in is building out those Legos, and then at the very end, when you're done, when you have the iteration with your character, share one of those with us and tell us more about the character that you were building. Tell us what you were hoping to achieve, and then show us a conversational card and tell us what you did to make it more in line with what you were envisioning.
There was a question by Suranobi for some of the Legos. We did answer some of the questions earlier, but for likes and habits, should you limit info on a couple of things, or is it okay to put more? For example, if you put Japanese culture, sci-fi movies, travel, is that too many things? Will it confuse the engine? What I would probably do is, if you're going to do it that way to where you're putting in a lot, and then for the iterations trainings, ask it what it likes about, sci-fi, what it likes about Japanese culture, stuff like that. So that, let's say you dedicate, 2-3 iterations trainings to building out why it likes Japanese culture, 2-3 into what type of sci-fi movies it likes specifically, so that the character has those iterations saved in its data sets and then is able to reference that for, the way that it responds to things, if that helps. I think it's okay to put in multiple things, but the more things that you put in, the more dynamic and less specific your character will be. So in order to address that a little bit, you just have more iterations trainings based around each of those specific things.
Are there any other questions? I'm not seeing where these are being shared.
These are in the Alethea University Discord
okay.
channel. Yeah, so
That
I'm
makes
trying to
sense.
I have both open on my screen so that I can try to answer as many questions so that this first lesson that is about the Legos and stuff, it answers all those. So what we can do is if you guys have additional questions, feel free to tag Rocky and myself in those questions. And then on the next Alethea University, we can start it off with answering some of those questions or save those questions toward the end to hopefully answer them in video format for people that are going to be viewing these in the future to hopefully answer some of their questions.
Yep, and we'll keep this channel open in the meantime, so you're not going to see Alethea University disappear on you. It'll stay there. Feel free to also share anything that's on your mind on Noah's Ark as well, so others can read in and join in on the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have like a cool outro or something, Rocky?
Absolutely not.